Folks, Symbian here. I'm going to do a question and answer spot today. I asked Sammy if she would come up with some questions that would help you, the viewers, identify with what I'm sort of all about. So we're going to go through maybe about 25 questions. I'm going to try and get them all in before this video gets too long. So let's get started right at the start. Now, the first question is, what was the first video you watched of Sammy's that inspired you to reach out to me, kickstarting our deep friendship? Well, it was the very last video that she posted before her website went down, was hacked. Now that happened a while ago, so I'm not absolutely certain I remember what the video was all about. But I know that I was shocked and dismayed the next morning when I clicked on the website, clicked on her YouTube account, and it was trashed. It was totally trashed. I saw lines and scratches and generally someone with a Sharpie marker just doodling all over the place to cover up her pictures. So that broke my heart because the video that I did see gave me inspiration to maybe start talking to you guys and making a good connection. Well, it must have, because I'm, going around 10, 11, 12 videos strong now. And I'm enjoying every one of them. So, the second question is, how would you describe the pain of losing your precious Cindy, my wife? And can you share a little bit about her? Okay. Before I met Cindy, I was a hermit. I lived inside of a room, and I didn't venture outside. I didn't interact with people. When I went to the variety store, my head was always down. I went to the department, got my stuff, and then went to the next department until my shopping was done, and then I raced home, not making eye contact with anybody. I didn't talk to anybody, God forbid. I was a literal hermit. Well, I was invited over to a family party, and Cindy was there, and we hit it off amazingly. She wanted to see me again, and we set up a coffee date. We went to the local Tim Hortons here in Hamilton and sat down and really chewed the fat. She found out about me, and I found out about her, and we learned an awful lot in the short amount of time that we were at the coffee shop. About maybe 2 days later, Cindy phoned me on the phone and said, would you like to come over for a coffee and that at my place? And me being the total loner and hermit that I was flabbergasted, thankful and appreciative. But before that, I would have never figured me to be the type of person that would even get invited to do anything. So I went to her place and sat down, and Cindy had a border cross collie female dog she called Shadow, and a little blue cat, a cat she called Blue, a beautiful Royal Majestic Tabby. And the dog sat on my right-hand side, and I was sitting with Cindy on my left-hand side. Now, the dog put its paw on my leg, and I swear this dog grinned, was sort of wagging its tail, and the tongue was going and the whole bit, and it was just content resting its paw on my foot. That blew Cindy away, because apparently her dog, Shadow, as a puppy, was severely and brutally beaten by a team of men and cruel boys, to the point where the dog had to be taken to the hospital, to the vet, to heal. And from that point on, the dog had severe traumatic fears about men. The dog would growl and bare its teeth and not allow any men inside the apartment. And this dog was sitting on the floor. It allowed me in, didn't make a sound, didn't move an inch. But the moment I sat down beside Cindy, this dog jumped up on the sofa on my right-hand side, laid down flat, and then reached out with his paw and said, without hearing words, "Hey, welcome to the family." For Cindy, that was a divine message of intervention, saying, he's okay. So our relationship began. And over the period of 9 beautiful years, we had an amazing relationship. Because I had never gone out anywhere, I didn't know about the world. Cindy took me to my first football game at the local stadium here, Ivor Wynne Stadium. Took me to my first baseball game, my first tennis game. Took me to soccer, golf. Took me down to our local bayfront park near the boat docks. And we would regularly on Saturdays sit there and watch the geese and watch the swans and watch the boats launch. It was an amazing relationship. We literally lived in each other's back pocket. Now, going on to about the 5-year mark of Cindy and my relationship, things started to get a little bumpy. Cindy developed well, she didn't develop it. It started to show. Cindy had a genetic liver disorder. Apparently, her body was missing a key liver genetic marker that normally allows the liver to heal. And she had been missing this all her life. And when this started to show up and act up, Cindy started to get sicker and sicker. Well, in the end of the 9 years, Cindy finally passed. It was a rough roller coaster ride. In and out of hospitals, and the final, year in a palliative care scenario. Seeing her go was heartbreaking. Seeing how this disease had taken a hold of her, and it even scared the pants off of her. She was scared to death. And until she couldn't recognize who I was, she clung to me like glue. And if I put myself aside for a second and I think of myself in her place, I would have done the self-same thing. I would have needed someone to anchor to during my final days. Cindy knew she was dying. And she didn't like it. She knew and felt that she wasn't ready for it. But hey, we don't choose our birth time, and we don't choose our time of exit. So I was there for Cindy during the evening on the last day she was here. And then in the morning, I had to go to work. Now, I went to work and didn't know that Cindy had passed early in the morning until I got back home and went to the hospital to see her. What I saw is not something I would wish upon anybody. Cindy's eyes were closed. Her jaw was wide open, like all of a sudden a surprise struck her and she froze in the body process of dying, like she was shocked. That's not something I would wish on anybody, particularly a loved one or a life partner. But for me, the 5 years of sheer torture and roller coaster hell that both of us went through and her family was to an end. Cindy had finally managed to get to a place or evolve to a place where physicality was no longer painful. She went into spirit. And I was so grateful that the doctors decided to put her on a morphine drip and just slowly push it until Cindy's heart finally relaxed enough that it stopped beating. I was there with her up until they actually put her on a morphine drip and started the push. The push finally stopped early in the morning, and I was already on my way to work, and I didn't know until I got back home. Anyway, it affected me deeply. It changed my perspective about a whole lot of things, about my own mortality. And in a sense, it gave me a life lesson that I learned, and I'm now better for it because I learned it in such a way. The life lesson was forced upon me because for dealing with life and death, not very many people will embrace the idea of impending death. It's not a natural selection, but when you are forced to embrace it and roll with its punches, it teaches you an awful lot of things. Anyway, the next question. If you could have any profession in the world, what would it be? An archaeologist, discovering new ancient civilizations, digging up bones and sarcophaguses, and finding tombs, and learning what the legit, real history is about locations on the earth. I would choose an archaeologist. Okay, what's the next question? How were you raised spiritually, and how does it differ from your spirituality today? I was raised as an Anglican in the Anglican faith, was confirmed by the minister there, and almost the day after, I began to study and look to witchcraft and Wicca for an escape route. It seemed to me at the time to be an open-ended, open-source form of spirituality. Since then to now, I have discovered that there are many, many rules, obligations, and disciplines that perhaps, in my opinion, aren't as needed as was thought they were by the priesthood. So before becoming initiated into the craft, I broke away from that. I took a very intense course on witchcraft, and I learned it for a year and a day. And I got my priest's certification and tenure. But I wasn't the priestly, outgoing type of guy. I'm more the wisdom, the philosophical mentor that people can ask questions to and go to for help, understanding, and for clarification. And that's the type of guy I am. Now, I've learned an awful lot from that point on to now. My ideas on spirituality have definitely been upgraded as far as I'm concerned. I am a solitary witch. I practice a mixture of traditions, my own sort of Heinz 57 type of sort of Celtic eclectic witchcraft that includes a little bit of leanings from an awful lot of traditions. The Alexandrian tradition, the Gardnerian tradition, the fairy tradition, and even the Norse Viking tradition. I incorporate it all. In the past, let's say 5 to 7 years going back, I've started to also embrace qualities and aspects about Buddhism and incorporate that into my witchcraft. The art of Zen, different ways to meditate to produce either energy or to quiet the mind to such an extent you experience oblivion, nothingness. It's been a wonderful, wonderful education. And I have been lucky in the fact that while with Wicca, I was never psychologically or mentally or physically abused. I did not have to perform the great rite, as an awful lot of traditions sort of require for their members. But it was an amazing learning curve, and I'm still learning. I probably always will. Anyway, on to the next question. Do you feel witchcraft is too focused in the feminine and doesn't offer enough for the masculine? Definitely. When I got into mainstream Wicca, it was at a time in the livelihood of witchcraft and Wicca where the Dianic tradition of feminist witchcraft was superior and strong. And it was goddess this and goddess that. Very rare mentions of the god at all. In fact, because it was a feminist oriented tradition, the god wasn't really looked upon too well and pretty much was abandoned. Now, I had to learn the basics of my witchcraft from a feminist point of view. Of course, me being a male, I added my own unique maleness to it. And as far as I can tell, I've produced now a very well-rounded balance of masculine and feminine. But the roots of the tree grow deep. I don't honor the god as much as I really should. And that is something that I currently am working towards rectifying and honoring the god as well as the goddess. In fact, it's something I will be willing to help other guys with who have faced learning about the feminine aspects and the goddess aspects of witchcraft and Wicca, but don't know very much or don't know how to identify with their own unique male spirituality. That's something I can help with. All right, next question. If you could live anywhere, a beach, a mountain, forest, a desert by an old lake, an old historic town, where would you live and why? Well, probably a forest. I am that connected with nature and trees and bugs and leaves and branches and forest animals like squirrels and groundhogs and chipmunks. Even on a rare occasion, I see birds playing with the leaves, the dead leaves, on the floor of the forest. I could feel very, very at home existing and interacting with all of that. That's where I would call home. Okay, what's the next question? Describe my best friend in 5 words. Well, if you've been following me to any great lengths, you all know who my best friend is. And trying to describe her with 5 words. Dynamic, resilient, spontaneous, unconditional, zero expectations. I know that's 2 words, but I don't know the word for no expectations. That's how I would describe my friend. What's the next question? Describe myself in 5 words. Okay. Timid, careful, also dynamic, yearning, as in yearning to learn, and resilient too, because I bounce back. All right. What TV or movie character best reflects your true self? That's easy. Sean Connery. Sir Sean Connery. In his younger day, he presented a persona on and off the screen of such a gentle, damn near perfect professional. Later on in his years, as he got older, he started to get bitter and treat people a little more negatively. But the Sean Connery that I sort of try to role model myself on is an early Sean Connery, where he was playful, very gentle, was a professional at what he did, and enjoyed every single movie and act and scene that he ever participated in. He was a gentle soul, a kind man who would pretty much give you the shirt off his back if you were experiencing rough times. So Sean Connery. What is my biggest pet peeve? That's also easy. All my life, I have had know-it-alls come to me and say, you know what? Hey, your opinion is good, but you know what? And it got to such a point where I would reply, yes, I know what. Don't bother telling me. It was an instinctive reaction I developed to know-it-alls. And it was succinct enough that it shut them up on the spot. They were a loss for words. Okay. If you were given the opportunity to know exactly when and how you were going to die, would you want to know? A lot of people would say no, they don't want to know. But me, I look upon it in this way. If I knew my exit time and the reason I was going to exit, I would take every microsecond of that time remaining to enjoy my life, embrace as many new things as I could. And towards getting close to the exit, I would learn very quickly how to say goodbye softly and with respect and with honor, so that when I did leave, people's lives were enriched because they knew me, rather than damaged because I'm finally gone. If you can understand that perspective. Okay. What has been the most horrific experience of your life? Well, the loss of my wife. And then the loss of my mother. It tore me to shreds. At the time, originally when it happened, I didn't think I was going to be able to function at all. I was dead in the water. I was numb. I had no emotions at all. But very slowly, I started to gather my wits and comprehend the scenario of losing someone intimate to you or family members. I started to put it in its proper perspective. And I was glad that their suffering had finally stopped. And I knew in an intuitive way that they were in a better place and that their suffering had stopped. Okay. What was the most happiest moment of your life? Well, even though Cindy and I were common law for 9 years, the day I proposed to Cindy and she accepted, we did plan to get married. We planned the ceremony, even the retreat afterwards. We planned it all, right down to the cake topper. Cindy was very passionate about stuffies or bears, stuffed fur babies, she called them. And I had managed to stumble on a cake topper of a groom bear and a bride bear in a little white, pristine gazebo that was studded with cabochons and zircons. It was perfect. I had to give that up to Cindy's daughter when Cindy passed. I figured Cindy's daughter wasn't married yet, living common law too. And she might be able to appreciate some value from it. Excuse me. If you had to lose one of your physical senses, sight, hearing, touch, smell, or taste, which one would you do and why? Smell. Odor has never served me very well. At the place where I work as sort of a maintenance guy, a trash guy. I get rid of garbage. And about 2 weeks after I started at that job, my olfactory senses in my nose stopped working. I guess the smell was so overwhelming that odor isn't recognized by my nasal passages. But I've compensated. Odor is still recognized in my mouth. I can taste odor. So that's a little bit of psychic development that has happened because I've lost the sense of smell. So yeah, I give up the sense of smell. All right. What are dreams to you? To me, dreams are the brain's mechanism for helping us to process problematic issues throughout the day. Now, there's a difference between dreams and nightmares. Dreams are problems, troubleshooting, that type of thing. Nightmares are fear-based, and they come from a place of the shadow self, really, of bad scenarios and bad situations that have been unresolved in my life. And nightmares are when they sort of coalesce and embrace me and put me through a path and a journey that is trying to, I suppose, repair the unfinished lessons that were learned. Now, a lot of people are scared to death about their nightmares. Many people. I never have been. I've always looked upon nightmares as life lessons to relearn a better way. Now, there is a tribe in, I think it's Africa, called the Dogon tribe. They teach their young children at a very early age to take control when they're having nightmares and dreams and be the dominant. They teach their children how to manifest fighting tools that are totally 100% effective. Now, I haven't gone that far, but I have gone to the point where I can set up a visualized den and library and a scientific and electronic lab and navigate through those, building solutions to some of my unresolved life lessons. It's a cool thing. I have an amazing imagination. Literally, if I wasn't so dysphoric about reading materials and books, I would probably be an author of adventure and science fiction novels. Anyway, the next question. Have I ever seen or experienced a ghost? Not visually, but energetically, yes. I've experienced a ghost behind me, a presence of energy that is pulsing, various strengths, like a weak intensity, which gets stronger as, I suppose, the entity gets closer to me. Only once have I ever heard a entity speak to me, and it was in a gravelly, low-pitched male voice, telling me how worthless I was, and how it didn't want me there, and how I was a waste of flesh. And at that point, I turned around and said, I am the storm. Now, if you understand the story, a warrior was greeted, I suppose, by the devil. And the devil said to the warrior, you won't be able to withstand the storm. And for a while, that bothered the warrior. The warrior started to fret and stew about it and worry a little bit. But as the warrior's thinking progressed and got stronger, and his ego got stronger and his self-confidence got stronger, he had an answer for the devil. And the next time the devil showed his face, the devil said again, you are not able to withstand the storm. And the warrior turned around and looked the devil straight in the eye and said, I am the storm. That was pretty bold, and that's pretty much how I process negativity and any negative entity images that my own mind creates. I am the storm, and such a strong storm that you won't survive. Okay. What's the next question? Do I have a specific code of ethics that I live and practice by? If so, what are they? I believe in existing at a near balance point between harmony and chaos, between light and dark, between love and hate. Because when you're at the center, you can view both sides of the equation. And as well as helping yourself to stay centered and balanced, you can also help others to learn where the center is. It's a process and sort of a spiritual tradition that I've created that I call symbiosity. Those of you who know me know my name is Symbian. That's how Symbian came about, through symbiosity. A perfect coexistence with everything around you. Sorry. Okay, what's the next question here? If you won $1 million, what would you do with it? I would go to my best friend and arrange for her health to totally improve. I would spare no expense. I would change the conditions and scenarios so that my friend was happy, enjoyed life, and was so grateful that the pain had finally been removed. That's what I would do with $1 million. And as far as a friend is concerned, you know who you are. All right. What color do I like the least? Puke, peach, vomit, orange. Sorry. Creamsicle orange. I love creamsicles, but I can't stand their color. Pastel orange. Ugh. Okay. Describe the worst pain you've ever experienced. This can be physical or emotional. I haven't really experienced major pain physically, but emotionally, it was when my wife passed. It tore a hole in my heart and my emotional set that left me so weak and numb, I didn't know how to recover. All right. What do you think about the most when you are alone? What do I think about the most? My embracing the visions I get, the connection with deity and spirit I get, getting intuitive ideas and thought forms. The thing I think about the most is maintaining and strengthening and widening my ability to communicate back and forth between deity and me and spirit guidance and me, to the point where eventually I can talk words in my head and my spirit guidance can understand the words from a human perspective. Now, I expect to do that, I would have to be able to raise my vibrations high enough so that no translation was needed. Spirituality would comprehend exactly, without any loss of translation, what I was talking about, or what I wanted, or how I was so grateful for a scenario. No translation would be needed. And that's sort of my spiritual goals, my evolution. A lot of people would call that nirvana. Or someone like my friend would call it enlightenment. So be it. That's what my goal is. But I don't ever want to become a reincarnated Jesus Christ or Buddha or a guru of that sort. Just a quiet, behind-the-scenes type of mentor that has lived so much life and had access to so much information that solutions would be out of my mouth like a baby eats cereal and spews milk out. Okay, what's the next question? What do you want your YouTube subscribers to take away from your videos? In other words, what is your message or purpose for creating videos? My purpose for creating videos for you guys is to give you options and maybe inspire you to come up with circumvented methods to learn what you really need to learn. When a coven lifestyle only gives you a limited access and tries to keep you wearing blinders so that you can't see the forest for the trees. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm trying to help you guys with. If I could have one superpower, what would it be? To heal those people physically that don't deserve to be dysfunctional or disabled. That's the superpower I would want to wield. But I'd want to do it anonymously, from a distance, so that my interaction was looked upon as a stroke of good luck. I'll put it that way. All right, that's 25 questions, guys, and it's taken a long time to do the video. And this video is going to take a huge amount of time to upload, so please be patient. I'm Symbian. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, because I do read your comments, and I really appreciate feedback from you all. I'm currently looking for topics to talk about, to do videos on. I'd love to do simple instructionals for you guys. Something that will give you an idea on how I do things, which is a symbiosity style solitary witch spirituality practice. Long sentence, I know. But you guys know what I'm talking about. My knowledge is pretty vast, and my life experience at 59 years of age is getting up there. So I'm a good person to ask questions from. So please, don't hesitate. If I don't know the answer, I'll simply tell you that I don't have enough information on that at all. But I will make it a point of trying to research it. But if I do know the answer, I won't hesitate to share it with you, either through YouTube or on an email that you send me. Okay? Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.